What's up, guys? This is going to be a nice little, let's call it a special, because it's not really a podcast episode or anything like that, but I just want to have almost like a round table with three of us, so like a triangle table, I guess we can call it, talking about beta for Classic, or talking about Cata in general. All three of us are pretty big into Cata, I would say. Out of all the content creators, I think Scotty is definitely one of the most hyped. I'm obviously been really hyped, and we're going to talk about quite a bit of things. We're like, obviously, we've been playing the beta a lot, some of us more than others. Let's talk about how the beta feels. What do we like about it? What do we don't like about it? You know, the world changed a lot. Have you been looking around at stuff? Why you should be excited for Cata? Why maybe you're not excited? And also, there's a lot of hate with Cata, so I want to go over kind of why people are hating on it so much. And then they'll take us, Scotty and Jay will take us through a little content overview of what you can expect out of Phase 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
are you guys doing?
Yeah, good, man. So, yeah, I mean, if we can be transparent with the points that we're going to go over, so people know, you know, we'll do a bit of an intro. We're gonna talk about how the beta feels. Jay, you don't, even if you get on the beta, you don't really plan on doing a great deal till the raids are out, right? You said.
I'll play once 85's open, and we have like the Cata zones. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to do the 1 to 80. I've done it too many times.
Yeah, that's fair. But the rest, yeah, obviously, me and Crix have been playing the beta a lot. So, like, literally since the beta launched, obviously, I've been non-stop on the beta. When I say I've been non-stop on the beta, I've been non-stop streaming. But, like, in between the beta, I've still been doing, like, Gnomeregan on Season of Discovery. I've been doing ICC 25, Ruby Sanctum 25, ICC 10, gearing my mage, you know, like, as in on Wrath. So I've been doing everything whilst also trying to get as many hours into the beta, and I'm 63 now.
Yeah.
So, you know, I should be 74-ish probably before I sleep again. How about you, Jay? You all right?
Yeah, I've been oh, go ahead, Jay, you first.
I was going to say, there's no Joyous Journeys on beta currently, is there?
No.
No.
Well, but you get the guild leveling perk. You know, as soon as you join a guild, it's level 25 straight away, so you get fast track.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I don't have a guild. So I chose the PvP server because I thought that there were people who were going to play. I was wrong. People are playing on PvE server. So it's literally me and like 2 other people on the PvP server. So I've been just lone riding it. I've no guild, just kind of, my wife had to do a surgery like a week ago, right when this started. So I kind of am on kid duty to my 2 kids. So been able to leak hours in there. I'm about to be 50 now. She comes home tomorrow. So thankfully I'll be able just to go no life it. Obviously went Warlock right away. So like as you guys know, about 2 years ago or so, you guys have been on private servers for a while. I joined you guys and you guys taught me everything about the raid. So, you know, I'll sweat out a little bit. So I obviously went Warlock and I'm just exploring the world, having fun.
Yeah, there's
pretty great.
There's a lot, definitely. I mean, we can just go straight into that. You know, as long as everyone's all right, you know, we don't really need to do any introductions. Like, everyone knows who I am because we're on here. Everyone knows who Crix is, obviously streaming on ease as well. Jay, I mean, if you like, I know most of the people watching my end obviously know who you are, but maybe for Crix's audience. So,
do YouTube more than Twitch or Kick or anything else streaming at the moment while my internet sucks. But yeah, I mean, I've played all versions of WoW. I think we worked out the other day that I've cleared every max like difficulty raid up to the end of Shadowlands, mid Shadowlands. So yeah, I mean, it's been, you know, I've played for a little while. So yeah, I mean, Cat is the expansion I've been the most hyped about for Classic, which is like the opposite of everyone else. So I'm looking forward to actually playing the fun stuff now.
I wouldn't say obviously to everyone else. There is another like 3 or 4 of us that are looking forward to Cat. Apparently, that's all I hear there is. Yeah. You know, if you go by YouTube comments, there's only about 5 of it. We're not even going to have enough people playing on the realms to be able to form a 10-man raid. So we're going to struggle. But...
Yeah, but them heroic.
I think once they let more people in there, because I heard that they gave 30 keys out, and then there's the friends and family in there. But sadly, I feel like there's a lot of streamers that don't play it. They have the key. A lot of them are, and I'm saying streamers because they predominantly let a bunch of streamers in there. And outside of us, and I know, like, you know, Take Note, Alondo, there's been a few Classic guys or Lich King guys that are no-lifing it. They're like 70, 75, and they're excited. But there's a lot of people who just, they have it, but they're not playing. You know, I've even been in some people's chats where they flirted with the flirting with wanting to play it, where they're like, yeah, I really want to play. And then their chat's like, no. So then they don't play it, like, because of the hate that Cata gets.
Yeah, and which
is kind of stupid.
It's funny because I said that on stream last night. I said exactly that. You know, you'll get these bigger streamers that will go on it for all of 20 minutes and then start seeing everyone like, oh my God, Cata, lol, dead on arrival and all that in their chat. And then they're going to like bow down to the viewers, obviously, and go back on Season of Discovery or whatever. Whereas like,
yeah.
but I'm lucky. The people who watch me are the complete opposite. The people who watch me are like, oh my God, why are you on?
Yeah.
They saw me in ICC last night and literally was like, what are you doing, man? Why are you doing this shit? Like, get back on Cata.
So I have to ask then, do you think that the kind of Cata being dead thing is more of kind of just a meme thing now, that it's kind of the expected response? It's almost unpopular to like it?
That's how it seems.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I had a good analogy where I said Cataclysm is like Nickelback. People just it's like it's almost like it's cool to hate on, whether you hate Nickelback or not. I'm indifferent, but it's like there's people who don't like Nickelback and they don't know why they don't like it. It's cool to hate on Nickelback. And that's kind of what it feels like with Cata. But I also think that I noticed from my chat where I've been known to play like all the different versions. Like I play retail, I play all these other things. But it's like I've noticed that my chat is slowly starting to leak in with people who are excited for Cata. I just think that there's not that many excited in terms of streamer wise, whether they're all classic Andes or Lich King or retail. And I think they'll come around. I think people will start coming around more as we get more into it, right? And
yeah, I think
I hope they do, at least.
I actually think as people try it, they're gonna be surprised. You know, like I don't think people understand even what it is, and I mean that like with the greatest of respect to those people that shit on it. But they, you know, I have people say like, "Oh my God, they ruined the talent system in Cataclysm when you know you only had a choice of 3," and it's like that was mop. Or they're like, "Oh my God, you know, it was." I don't know, completely ruined, like AoE looting. I hate AoE looting. And it's like, no, that was mop. It's like the amount of systems that, yeah, or even, you know, when there was like account-wide mounts and account-wide pets, you know, oh, that came in Cata, we got it early. No, that didn't even come in Cata. That was mop. It's like so many people think that all of the big system changes that everyone hates about the game was Cata, and hardly any of them was.
But
I think Cata was also that time where people back in the day, you had people graduating school, getting jobs, getting married, having kids, and Cata's just when they stopped playing. And I feel like they forget that's the reason why they stopped playing, and instead they jump on the bandwagon of just hating it instead of like seeing it. There's countless people, and I'm not a big streamer by any means, but I'll have a couple 100, 300 people watching, and many people will be like, oh wow, I didn't know that was Cata, or this actually looks good, or actually, man, I didn't want to play it at all, but now that I've been watching, it actually looks kind of cool. Like, and it's just, and all we're doing is leveling right now. That's all we can do on the beta.
Yeah, and I think people, as the beta gets more open to the masses, I do think people will play it and be like, well, actually, this literally just feels like a better version of Wrath. Because quite honestly, all the classes play better in Cata than they do in Wrath. The raids well, I think the raids are better than the raids in Wrath. You know, if you enjoy Wrath, I find it really, really strange to say, oh, but I don't like Cata. It's like the game is almost just like Wrath Part 2.
I've said this for a while, and people really hated it when I had this opinion before, that I think Cata is just an extended version of Wrath. The only thing that I can see why people wouldn't like it is the world overhaul. But like, once you're 80, like, you're not going to see most of this stuff anyway.
Yeah, and
exactly. You're not going to be in the old world, and they're acting like they're going to be questing when in reality they're going to be hitting level 15 and RDF spamming. They're not going to see the old world, which I think is sad because I never saw the old world because of that reason. On private servers, we have heirlooms, and you get boosted, and you can buy tunes on that character, or you can go to RDF. But now that I'm leveling it up in the world, it's kind of cool. Like, they made everything much more streamlined. Like, you don't need any add-ons. You start at one hub. Tenaris is an example. You go to Gadgetson and you do 3 quests. It sends you to the next spot. It tells you where to go in Tenaris with a new flight path. You know, there's 4 or 5 flight paths in the whole area. You don't have to run around like a chicken with its head cut off trying to go back and forth. And it's very linear, telling you where to go. Like, and some of the zones are like magical. Like Ajara is now a 11 to 20 questing zone with some cool quests. It hit the bracket to where instead of having to go turn in quests like in Stranglethorn, that Raptor Mastery and the Panther and the Young Tigers, you just don't have to run and turn the quest in. You just get a little pop up on the side that says, "Oh, you're done." Turn it in, and then you just get the next quest. So it's really quick. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, so I've always played Alliance. Well, again, like for anyone who's watched me on Whitemane, you know, every single one of my characters is Alliance. So for me, actually getting to do, like, I went and done Stone Talon. We'll talk about that in a little while. But you know, there was multiple of the Horde zones, Northern Barons, all of that. You know, that I have. If I have done them, I didn't remember any of it. You know, maybe I did do a Horde back in original Cataclysm, but I remembered none of it. And like some of the zones, like Thousand Needles, man, I was like, oh my God, this is just so insane. Getting your own boat to go around in the zone in, and, you know, getting like sea legs, like what you'll get in Ajara. You get your own boat as a mount when you're doing Thousand Needles.
Bro, I swam. I went through Thousand Needles and had to swim all the way through. No one told me about a boat.
I still hate Thousand Needles, but like, I mean, I know you're going to mention it, but Stone Talon, I still remember the storyline from doing Thousand Needles, from doing Stone Talon, sorry, from original Cata, like going and doing Lawmaster in original Cata. I still remember the story. It was great.
Yeah, I'm a bit upset about that, and we'll get onto that when we start talking about. Oh, well, I mean, we can just go straight into how the beta feels. We'll get that over, and I might as well start now. I've mentioned it. I've got to be honest. If I was Blizzard, I am enjoying it. I want to put it out there. Like, this is not any hate towards Cataclysm as a whole, because obviously I'm mega excited. I love Cataclysm. I've enjoyed leveling. I enjoy how the mage plays, which is what I'm actually leveling. But I would have been ashamed to put this out and call it a beta. Like, this is an alpha. Like, the state of it is shocking. Like, absolutely shocking. Like, and the fact that there's not been any hot fixes. A lot of issues? I have had loads of issues. Yeah. Well, put it this way: I'm leveling as an arcane mage. I'm leveling as arcane because frost and fire both don't work.
Oh, what's going on with those?
Well, the pet for frost does nothing. There's no pet bar. It just stands there and does nothing. Pet attack macros, nothing works. So, you know, playing frost without your big level 10 ability that you get is kind of pointless. And fire, hot streak, does not proc. So it's like, I can't get instant pyroblast. So literally the key talent for both specs don't work. So I'm leveling as arcane, which, to be fair, arcane's it's pretty chill anyway. Like, there's no issue with it. But where's the hot fixes been, man? I know it's been the weekend, you know, when it's launched, but it's Monday now. Surely all this is working. Have you respect? Like, have you actually been out in the open world and respect? Did you lose your main abilities?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I
was just gonna say, to piggyback off what you said, I'm playing a warlock. Pet action bars, and they don't work. So and I've tried the pet attack, I've tried macros, I've tried scripts, I tried everything. And what I learned that you can do is, if you log out and log in, occasionally your action bar will come back, right?
Yeah.
So I logged out and logged in, and I just slash camp to instant log out like 67 times or something the other day, literally, until I was waiting to start stream, and I waited till action bars came up. Or just now, I just played for the past 3 hours and I didn't have my action bar. And then I go, oh, let me just log out real quick and see if my action bar comes back. And then they come back up. But if you can get it to come back up, you can put your pet on defensive, and then at least your pet will fight on defensive. And then, the respecking thing, which, like, if I'm Demonology, you get your Felguard baseline. But if I use my dual spec talent or something, I don't get it. So you're just permanently in a thing. And as a class that needs a pet, like, I almost stopped playing and went to another class because I couldn't use a pet bar, you know?
Yeah, well, I was in I was in Hellfire. This will be quick, Jay. I was in Hellfire, and I was about to do, like, you know, it weren't a group quest, but it was just a fairly hard, you know, hard quest. It used to be a group quest before Cata. But I was fire, and I was like, I want to just be able to burst this down quick, so I'll respec Arcane. And I went Arcane, and this was the first time I'd actually respec. And then Arcane Barrage was missing, and I was like, what's happened? Oh, I'll go back to fire. And then I went back to fire, and Pyroblast went. So now I've got 2 specs. So I then had to go all the way back and reset my talents. But, you know, that's terrible.
So, I mean, the issue is that, and don't get me wrong, I'm a content creator as well. I get it. I want to be able to play the beta, and I'm sure everyone else does. But when you are given early access or closed beta access to streamers, then are going to go and play it and showcase your product, for that product to just not be functioning just doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, I agree, and we're talking
Yeah.
we're talking basic things as well. You know, like the
Wasn't the
classes
map broken the
working.
other day?
Oh, the map! Don't get me started on the map. So I don't know. Have you actually noticed the map, Crix, where it's like in
The
certain
mini-map?
zones? No, the actual world map. So you know, zone map. Sorry. So in certain zones, it's out of whack. So in the Barrens, Northern Barrens, for example, it'll look like you're in Crossroads according to the map, but you're not. You're about 500 yards north of it. Like, it's the
I
map,
did
man.
notice that, yeah. And the outline for the map when you're looking at the map too, like you'll see an outline on the like whole bottom like side of it instead of outlining the actual map.
Yeah.
No hot fixes yet. Well, I don't know if they're just waiting for Tuesday to do it. There's also been some quest bugs. I did an Ashtonville quest. I found, which is annoying because I finally got my action bars as I was talking about. And what happens is if you log out, you have a chance for it to go away. I have it for like 10 minutes. I do a quest and my chat is warning me like, yo, this was a bugged quest back in the day. Like we can never, ever, they never fixed this quest. And then I do it and I get bugged out and I couldn't even do anything. I had to fully log out.
Was it the one to ride the beast into Ashenvale to Splinter Tree Post?
Into Splinter Spell.
Yeah. He's constantly out watering the bushes and never returns. The worst one was Stone Talon. So again, if you like, Stone Talon is one of the best questing zones I've done. Did you finish the zone?
No, I didn't level Stone Town. I don't remember where I went.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't level Stone Town.
So if you go to Stone Talon...
They're 25-30 or 30-35?
30. I think I went there at like 33, something like that, if I remember rightly. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that was my Stranglethorn route.
Yeah, I've done STV as well. But Stone Talon is amazing. Like when next character you level, make sure you go and do Stone Talon. Put it this way, you'll do like 10-minute levels.
Well, it depends on the bug you're about to talk about.
Well, yeah,
you know?
once it's fixed. But actually, even being broken, like you'll still get 2 levels in about 20 minutes. Like it's really, really quick. But then, yeah, you get 19 quests in halfway through the story, and then you can't get any further because one of the quests you have to sit on a gun and shoot aeroplanes down. But they don't actually count for the quest when you're shooting them down. So that's it. That's the end of the zone. Like you know, and you're not even halfway through it yet. It's things like that have frustrated the life out of me. But like that, when I say it's frustrating, but that I wouldn't be angry about. You know, that is the purpose of the beta testing, should be checking all of these zones and all of the quests, because every quest in the zones, you know, like everything's changed. So I like totally get that some quests are going to be bugged. I'm not complaining about that. Obviously, like I say, it's frustrating. But the classes and the basics, like the map and being able to respec and not lose your abilities, like, I'm sorry, that tells me there's been no internal testing. Are you telling me during internal testing they never tried to use dual spec, or they never opened their map? You know, it's like there's been zero testing. Yeah, no one had a pet, exactly. It's so.
I wonder if they do that. Do you have like somebody at Blizzard who just, hey, play this, go? I mean, that's what they're using us for at the same time, I guess. But there has to be like someone go family and friends and be like, hey, level 1 to 60.
They must have had a quality assurance team. It might not be as kind of clear cut as here, go on level 1 to 60 or something, but they must have had a QA team go and do something.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just doesn't seem to be. Like I said, I think I don't have beta currently, but even if I did, I probably wouldn't play it. And I think that's going into this whole issue of kind of Cata dead on arrival is, you know, the first impressions that people are getting now had to be good. They had to be impressed to want to come and play it. And realistically, it's not the way at the moment. But hopefully, once we get a few hot fixes and things, people will start getting a little bit more excited.
Well, to be fair, I don't be outside of those. I've had like maybe 2 or 3 quest bugs, and obviously my pet bars. It's a lot of fun. I'm not having any. I would still suggest playing it even with these little issues. Or just like they're not. It's not game breaking. Like I'm a warlock and I can't use my pet. That's like the biggest thing in the world. Other than that, it's like I'm not. I mean, I've had a couple like that Ashtonville quest. I've had a couple EPL bugs, but none of it was game breaking to where it forces me not to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree. It's like, you know, I'm loving it. I'm logged in now, and I'll be on for probably the next 12 hours at least. I'm loving it, but I just find it, again, it's more the incompetence of Blizzard. You know, I really think some of these basics should be tested. It shouldn't just be like their testing, I'm assuming, for this beta was they logged in and went, yeah, that's working. And then they went, right, let's put it live then. You know, the fact that they could get in the game, that's good enough.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's really not good enough when you can go on a private server where everything works and that's free. It's like they just need to put a bit of effort in. But, yeah, overall, yeah, as long as they fix some of the like fix the map, fix how the you know, the talents, yeah, respecking and stuff like that, and a few quests. Yeah, it's mostly fine. But we haven't got anything. I'm trying to think. There has been some other quite annoying things, but there's no actual Cataclysm systems in. You know, herbs and mines are not giving XP. There's no archaeology. Yeah, there's no reforging. Or like we've got all of that yet to go through. That probably will be bugged for months.
Is RDF on the beta yet?
Yeah, that don't work either.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like when you press I, you can see the dungeons and what you can do, but it's locked. And also, like, I'm in a Discord with some of the people from Blizzard, and like when it got brought up, right away somebody mentioned there's no professions, we can't do RDF, and they said that the whole entire goal of this first build is leveling. Specifically, they said leveling 1 to 60 is what they're worried about doing. And then, so I'm assuming in the next build there will be something else that comes in there. But I know that they said like right now the main build for it was strictly 1 to 60.
Yeah, and that's why people who have got on the beta, when they're saying like, oh, you know, when's character copies going to be out? It's like it would be ridiculous for there to be character copies because then no one would do the leveling.
Mm-hmm.
No. And character copies is
exactly.
Yeah, a whole different part of beta and something that will come much later. And I do like, if you aren't interested in the leveling, then, you know, wait for it. Like, you're not going to lose anything by waiting for it.
Yeah, but I've loved the leveling though. Like, I just want to put that out there, re-emphasize it. Like, some of these zones now are absolutely amazing, and I know that's because of my hate for vanilla style leveling. Anyway, you know, there's no secret. I absolutely detest vanilla leveling. It's too slow. You know, you're going from zone to zone because you run out of quests because they get too hard, and then you got to go somewhere else. Then you go back there again once you're a little bit higher. Like, I don't like that. I much prefer, you know, the Outland / Northrend leveling style, which basically now extends into the 1 to, you know, all the way from 1 to sort of 60. But like Blasted Lands, man, that place is insane. Like, once you get to, as soon as you're 56, Cricks, go to Blasted Lands because it is so much fun going in the mines, and you like like Metal Gear Solid. You turn yourself into a crate, and it's really cool.
One thing I'm really looking forward to is rares giving like a quest worth of XP, and like every dungeon having like being worth running just once, just if nothing else, just once for the quest. It does break up leveling so much better.
I've missed that. I've missed the being able to go in and do a dungeon like that. That's my favorite way of leveling in Cataclysm. Is like you say, as soon as you know, oh right, I'll get dead mines now. You know, you'll go and do it. Oh, it's like, oh, I'll be able to get RFK now. You'll go and do it, and you come out with a level and a half or whatever, and then you carry on questing it. I mean, I'm looking forward to that all working and there being enough people to actually do the stuff. But the rares giving XP, that is actually working, and it's very good.
Dude, it's like 22 times the experience of a rare. A rare to get a normal mob gives you 200 experience. A rare gives you like 4 to 5k. It's like crazy. I was gonna say that I'm glad that this is probably one of the only times I will level in the old world, simply because like strictly questing. And I was astonished, like when I was driving home when I heard the beta was out, I was like, damn, we got a quest. That sounds kind of boring. I'm having a blast. Like, seeing the new zones are cool. It's very streamlined with the quest. Like I said, like the traveling is nice. Besides, outside of the bugs, well, obviously there's bugs, but it's nice to see the world that people complain about a lot of the times, because it did change. And I get from the classic purist point of view, I get it. Like, they like the brain numbing leveling forever, but we've been doing it for so long. Even in Lich King with the speed or the experience bonus, it takes a while to level. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm glad that they did do this at first before we go back to no lifing dungeons when they open it up, you know? Boosts.
And I've not seen anybody say that I've not seen anybody go, man, this questing looks terrible. You know, like people who have joined to see what it's about and, you know, come to see like the Cata stream. everyone's been like, man, like that actually looks fun. You know, like it's impossible not to. Some of the quests are so wild, you know, and like you said about traveling around, the good thing is most of the time when you're going from zone to zone, if you're going somewhere new, I don't know, you might jump in a cannon that fires you over to it, or you'll get in a hot air balloon that will travel you somewhere. You know, there's normally these sort of quick ways.
A rocket jetpack.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I just like that. I mean, I just like questing. I don't want to be spending like half my time running all over the world. You know.
I'm not gonna lie. The fact that Crix has been swimming through Thousand Needles is proper made me chuckle.
Bro, swam through it. And I'm over here like, this is so cool.
Yeah, go over there and get yourself a boat.
The quest thing is my favorite thing was, you know, you land somewhere and it sends you, it gives you 5 quests or, 4 quests. You do those 4 quests. You might have to run back and forth to like not far. I'm talking like within 1,000 yards. Like you don't have to go far. And then when you turn in all the quests, it gives you 1 quest to go to the next hub in that zone. So you're in, Tenaris and you go to Gadgeton. And after you do those 3-4 quests, it sends you to the pirate side over there. You turn that quest in, and then that person gives you 3 or 4 more quests to go a couple thousand yards away. And then you go do that, and then you turn those in, and then he gives you another one to go down by where the bugs are. And it's like, I've been telling chat, like, you don't need Questy. Questy still has the quality of life, like saying how many mobs you need on your tooltip and auto turn and stuff. But like, I have had literally no issue. Once I figured out that it's like 5 levels per zone, I didn't know that at first. And then I pulled up Ding 85 and I was like, oh, okay, it goes like this. But like, you don't, outside of like reading the occasional quest, because I didn't know what to do, like there's nothing that tells you what to do. It's pretty smooth on that part. I was kind of shocked at how smooth the questing was. Decent experience, not too fast, but definitely not too slow. The mounts, getting your mounts are really nice too. I really like that, being able to get your mount right away. I don't know how Outlands feels, Scotty. Is it? I know chat was saying it's a little slower than the old world.
Yeah, I mean, it's no. I mean, yes and no. Yeah, it is slower, but obviously this is the bit that they're going to speed up. So Outland and Northrend is the part of it that they're going to speed up. That's one of the hashtag changes that they're going to do. But it's not that bad. I mean, again, yeah. I quite like Outland and Northrend anyway, so I'm not like, I don't get here and worry too much about how long it's taking.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty much the same as RAF. I mean,
and you can fly right away too. So
yeah, you can fly straight away. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little bit quicker than what it is now in RAF. I think it's like 20% XP reduction or something. It should be in a 4.3 state, maybe a bit more. But yeah, no, overall, it's really cool.
I think you said it earlier when you were streaming, Crix, about like things like rested XP and that. Like, there's gonna be obviously optimized routes and optimized quests and things, but I also feel like it's less mandatory than ever now. In that, if you didn't want it, I felt for me that like I'm awful at questing. So if I didn't have something that could just follow the arrow and get on with it, I just wouldn't level characters. Whereas now it's like I have that. It's always going to just daisy chain to the next thing, and it's so nice. There's still going to be the optimal ways and the speed runs and all that sort of stuff, but just generally for like how the game plays by itself, I think it's in such a better state.
Yeah, like just compare it to the RAF beta, like. When you didn't have because they never added the in-game quest helper, did they? So doing like you thought you knew everything about RAF, but then you realized how little you did know when you literally had no questy, no rested XP, no in-game quest helper, nothing. This has been less painful. I mean, I would say definitely questy and rested XP and Zygor or whatever else. Sure. Will be less. I think you could jump in as a new player and not think, shit, I really need to go and get one of them, or I'm not going to be able to level. Me personally, like
you almost don't need it.
I would still rather be using one of them.
You don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need it, but I've said loads of times while I've been streaming the last couple of days, like I do miss. I miss questy or rested XP. Either one of them would just be nice because it's more with the fact that the map's been bugged as well. So, Northern Barrens took me a long time because I was trying to, work out where I was in correlation to, a certain area, and it was an absolute nightmare, honestly. And I was like, man, I just, wish I had a blue arrow to follow,
Yeah.
Cool. But, I suppose, that's the... unless you got anything else to add on the general feel of the beta? I mean,
Oh, no. Feels good.
Cool.
Need more people to play with. Other than that, feels good.
Yeah.
The dungeons felt good too. I've done a couple dungeons, like walking in, you could walk into them and they seem pretty good. My friend Take Note said he was soloing the TBC dungeons as a Destro lock with pretty much with ease. So good. They give good experience. They have the quests working in there and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I've been intentionally making sure I actually just stay questing the whole time. You know, because I'm a mage, man. I could have just gone Frost and just AoE grinded. But I was like, well, they want us to test all the quests. So I'm testing all the quests.
Yeah,
I'm not worrying about how long it
we're
takes.
test. Unlike, we're not doing it for hype. We're doing it because we want to actually see the world make the game a good game, you know?
Exactly. And that's exactly what I've been saying. Yeah, cool. All right. So why, this can be really brief because I think we've probably covered a lot of it anyway. But why should people be excited about Cata? You know, what would be the primary reason to get people to stop hating on a game that they probably haven't even played? You know, they're just, we can call it the Nickelback effect from now on, Crix. I like that.
The best thing I can say for people to go and do, and I think this is because there's so many reasons to like Cata, I genuinely think it's one of the stronger expansions. And if you enjoyed Wrath of the Lich King, I think Cata is a natural progression of it's everything that Wrath offers, just slightly better. In every aspect, PvP, raids, leveling, everything. I genuinely believe that. But actually go and have a look at the features that Cata brings in, because you mentioned it earlier, Scott, about how many people think, I don't like Cata because of this reason, and this reason doesn't exist for another expansion or two. Different aspects of talents or things like that, or skills that were added or removed. They didn't come in until much later anyway. So actually going and having a look at the features and realizing that Cata's not that big of a leap from Wrath.
No. Yeah, I totally agree.
I was comparing it to when I'm playing the game, what feels different from Classic, because everyone's like, this is retail now. The talent changes. Obviously, there's talent changes, there's different classes and spells and stuff. Outside of that base talent, when you can choose your talent, it tells you what a passive and spell you get. That's new. You know, the new prime glyphs, and obviously the world changes. Other than that, nothing really feels too out of place in comparison to Wrath. A little more vehicle quest than normal. Nothing's too crazy on it, to be honest, you know?
Yeah. I totally agree. I exactly what Jay said. It's just a natural progression on from Wrath. For me, I don't play it and I'm like, man, this is too different. There's practically no difference. I mean, the specs play slightly different, but none of them play wildly different while you're leveling. You know, I mean, once you're level 85, obviously it's a different story, but they're still they're still just engaging specs to play. Maybe a little bit more difficult than Wrath. Maybe that's what puts people off. You know, they're still easy classes to play, but in general, there's more to think about with all the classes.
I do wonder if the Season of Discovery has inadvertently done a positive thing for Cata, in that, you know, people are now used to leveling and having Chaos Bolt early or Star Surge or, you know, some of these core class abilities early on that makes them feel strong and gives that kind of class fantasy a little bit. Whether, you know, going into Cata now and picking up Conflag or Chaos Bolt or Water Element or having those abilities early, it's going to feel good. Leveling is going to feel nice because you've got these cool abilities to use. And suddenly that's not going to feel so abstract where it would have if he'd have gone from Wrath to Cata, because, you know, we wouldn't have had any of these abilities till the end of the talent trees.
Yeah, exactly. You get Felguard at level 10 versus level 50 or whatever you would get it. Stuff like that. Having Conflag baseline. Like he said, having a permanent water element that you don't need to glyph into, a permanent water element at level 10. Massive. That's dope.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a good thought. Yeah, that maybe Season of Discovery has almost, shown people this is, that's not a bad thing. That I'll tell you what is a bad thing. My biggest negative of Cataclysm, if Blizzard would actually go in and change, it would be drastic, by the way. The changes, or it would not drastic, but it would be a lot of effort for Blizzard. I always have disliked the actual levels that you get abilities, and that's pretty much for every class that I've ever played. You know, where it's not getting Blizzard till 52 as a mage. You know, not getting ice armor till 54. Not getting it's some of the key things you're used to having. I mean, even a buff. You know, I don't think it's till level 34 before you even get a single buff to use on yourself, which is molten armor. It's
wow. I know that.
yeah, it's really weird. And Feral's the same, where that you don't get shred till like I can't remember, 46, 52, something like that. Just some of them are just a little bit strange. The level you get things.
I
like
think
maybe
I agree.
address it.
That's weird. I feel like a lot of people won't even realize that because like I said, I don't know how many people are going to be slow leveling in the old world. You know what I mean? Or things like I never noticed was you get a talent point every 2 levels instead of every level, right?
Yeah.
The things we don't notice because like on private servers we're just boosted up, or we're just instantly, you do 1 dungeon, you just 10 levels type stuff.
I have just realized that I'm actually going to have to do TBC and Wrath, and I'm not just going to skip all that with a mail.
Yeah.
But
I said that too. I was still in chat about that. Like on the server, like when you hit level 60, you get something in the mail. When you open that thing, you're instantly 80. Like literally, like it's crazy. Like I was like, damn, I never actually did anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if kind of something that they've talked about is Joyous Journeys, and when they added it in prior to ICC, they talked about it being added until further notice. I think if that's something that just exists within Cata, then class issues would be less noticeable, because getting to 30 odd is not going to take you very long at all, so you're going to very quickly feel like you have your core abilities. But I do agree, actually, missing those abilities just feels like there's gaps in your rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. It just feels strange more than I'm not saying like it makes a massive difference where it makes the game any less enjoyable to play. It feels weird, But like on the other hand, getting certain abilities earlier feels strange as well. Getting counterspell at level 9. When it's like, well, actually, at level 9, I don't really need counterspell. I could do with, I could do without to make some water. By the way, as a mage, you can't make water. You can't make food and water till about 38.
Yeah, that just shouldn't be. That shouldn't be that late.
It feels like mage kind of got shafted with that because I mean, I feel like the warlock spells were pretty good getting them early and stuff. But I feel like there's a few and far with us. It's like you learn some spells, and from like 30 to 60, you get nothing important. You just get like no spell. You're just like, warlocks got all their spells for all the specs immediately, like within like level 20. It was crazy, and then just boring nothingness between there, which is like whatever.
Yeah, so I suppose that's a good point, isn't it, though? Like, yeah. I'm complaining, but actually, at least I've got a reason to be excited at higher levels, because I am constantly like, oh, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get mirror images at 50. I'm going to get, whatever. But it was the food and water one, actually, is probably was the biggest one for me. Running around for 38 levels, having to, buy food and water when I'm a mage. Like, come off it.
It's the mage thing,
I'm just looking through now and looking at the warlock, what level you get certain abilities.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing that doesn't really make sense. Like, you pick up demon armor at level 8, so yeah, it's not as good as fell armor, but it's still something. I
hate the demon armor change too. It doesn't heal you anymore. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's just health generated now, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's health, how much health you're taking in, but where it used to be HP 5, which was one of the main things why I liked it so much for leveling. But that's normal because fell armor you never get early anyway in Lich King or whenever it came into the picture anyway. So it's kind of like I'm used to not having it. Or not getting incinerate early at the same level you used to get it at 64. So it's not bad.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. Maybe mages. They just hate mages, which I'm not against.
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a shadow priest here soon, so we'll see what's different about priest. But yeah, it feels like overall. I'm glad I didn't go mage. I was gonna go mage when I had this action bar issue. So now I'm glad I didn't.
Well, yeah, on the basis that none of it works.
Wait for mages to get living flame and just to be overpowered again.
All right.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah, that's the one thing I miss going from Season of Discovery onto Cata. Even onto Wrath. I do miss living flame.
How many times have you tried to heal yourself as an arcane mage?
I haven't on here, but I have actually pressed, like when I've been on my Wrath mage, I've gone to do a regen or go to use what's the word? Chronostatic preservation. Such a ridiculously long word for I go to use that 2 second heal. Yeah, that 2 second heal.
My biggest thing is metas forever. It's a form in SOD. So now when I use meta in Lich King right here, I'm just like, where it's gone away. What the hell? Or like
bug
Searing Pain
reported.
spam, and now I still cast Searing Pain. I'm like, why am I casting Searing Pain?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Report it.
they've done a lot right, in Season of Discovery with, some of those new shiny things. I've said I'd love to see them experiment a bit in Cata and onwards, like even if it was, the flavor of Cata is like, not only are you getting all this new content or new old content, but we're also adding Tank Warlock in this phase, in Cata, and then in Mop they add Mage Healer. Because they can say, look, it's done really well in Season of Discovery. We know how to balance it and tune it now. So, let's put some of that weird stuff into Cata. I know, because I don't think there's as many Cata purists, as there was, people who didn't want TBC being touched or RAF being touched or whatever. I think the people that are playing Cata enjoy the, maybe more explorative content, if that makes sense. I don't see that many people who would be like, no, I don't want that. That sounds shit. I think the majority of people that are excited for Cata would be like, yeah, man, that sounds sick. Like, it's actual new stuff with Cata as well. Oh,
I mean, the frustrating part is we had the survey, right, where they talked about, would you be like to see this in Cataclysm or that and whatever, and it was all these different like new things, and then there's been no talking about any changes at all for Cataclysm. It's not to say that they aren't coming and they just haven't announced them yet, but like as it is at the moment, we are just expecting Cata as it is. So do we know what version of Cata we're getting currently? So I imagine we're going to get 4.3.4.
It will be, yeah.
But I wonder if we'll get pre-nerf heroics again.
I think they're going to, because they did it before. And please do that, because that is a raid. Coming from a raider perspective, and I'm more of a hardcore raider, I think everybody would love that. Maybe not everybody, because there's always the people who can't do it, but like that is Cata rating is peak. And I think people are sleeping on it a lot,
I'm not even necessarily on about the raids, like just the heroics. The original versions were crazy, yeah. I wonder if we'll get kind of the pre-nerf heroics.
I don't know. I hope so. I think people are complaining heavily about it if heroics are too hard.
Yeah, that's why I'm on the fence.
They want dungeons to be easy, so they're going to be like, what? One thing that I'd be interested in is, what do you guys think about a fresh server? You think they're going to run a fresh like they did for Viking?
Hope not.
I hope not. I won't be playing on it.
Oh yeah, I won't either. I'm on the side of like, I won't be playing it no matter what. I think they would add one because they did do it for Lich King, but at the same time, they have to realize that, they know like, oh, that was dead on arrival. That lasted. I rolled an alt on Fresh with Cargos in them, and that server was dead within a month or two. So it's like, why do that? But like, maybe they do just to appease, because it doesn't hurt anybody if they do, but they'll get more people complaining if they don't than if they do,
I don't know that that's true now. I think in Wrath that was definitely true, but it was so poorly managed. And the problem is, like, so me and Scott both rolled on a fresh server. We both rolled on Thekel, and it was so poorly managed. It led to a point where, we ended up getting all the people who have been playing on every other server and just server transferred across anyway. None of the things that made that server special and fresh stayed. It ended up just turning into another server. So it was fun for a little while. And if they wanted to do it as like an event thing, so, we're going to open up a fresh server with the idea of going through maybe phase 1, but then we're going to open transfers if it's getting low or things like that, maybe. But I personally wouldn't risk going to a fresh server again.
I'd want them to say...
I wouldn't play one, yeah.
I'd want them to say, look, guys, we know a lot of you like Fresh. We're going to launch a Fresh server, but we just want you to all understand that we will fuck it up by the time Cataclysm finishes. Just as long as they're just honest from the offset, I'd be happy. But yeah, I wouldn't. And I love Fresh. Like if RAF Fresh would have actually met my expectations, I would be going Cata Fresh if they launched a Fresh server, 100%. But I got bit by that once, and it's not happening again. I'm not the sort of person where I'm like worried about losing all my character progression and all my items and all that. Like, I don't care. Like, Fresh is best. I would always just choose to go Fresh. But then at the same time, it's an absolute waste of time losing all your progress and all your gold and everything you've got on an established server when you know that you're going to end up back there anyway. Because the Fresh server will die and you'll end up transferring back to your old server, so you might as well just stay where you are.
Agreed. I think the only big, like the big thing for Fresh is when people are like the private server players who don't have anything established on Lich King, and it lets them feel like they have even ground there. But like you said, if Blizzard just goes, "Hey, we're gonna fuck it up," we'll do it, but we're probably gonna mess it up and let you guys transfer off.
Again, I feel like that was more relevant for Wrath as well, because you had a lot of Wrath private server players, whereas you still have Cata private server players. It's not something that doesn't exist, but those players, I still feel like even if they joined, ready now and started preparing now, they're going to be in such a better position with Cata knowledge that I don't think it would even matter.
Yeah, it's definitely a less played private server scene,
Definitely.
and that's why I'm actually really excited, which is something we've not spoke about. I feel like Wrath, was so widely played, and we'd played on God knows how many private servers. You knew everything. Really good spots to grind to make gold, really good places to boost, like every boss inside out. Whereas I feel like Cata is just, there's less of that. There will actually be stuff to solve. It's not fully solved. And I was saying to Lee, we was looking at like different stuff for classes, on from Elitist Jerks back in the day and stuff like that. I was looking at mage specific stuff, and it's like, unless you was one of the big boys that was clearing all heroic raids, as an example, like you wouldn't be taken seriously on Elitist Jerks. Your opinion on what if we was to try this? It was like, well, you didn't matter, mate. You're not doing enough content. Whereas in Classic, it doesn't matter. You could no one cares. Like you could have literally never stepped foot in a raid, but if you say on like the Mage Discord or Warlock Discord something that makes sense, people will listen and be like, yeah, let's try that. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
And it makes us all better players, and we discover things. And I think we will be doing things in Cata that people on private servers will be like, what? Where did that come from? And that's what I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I think the meta hasn't been fully found in Cata, because even like some of the elitist jerk guides I've went over aren't fully correct on some things with classes that we figured out. I think this Classic community is very degen-y, much more degen-y than private servers. As we can tell from TBC vanilla servers, TBC Lich King, the private servers are brilliant, but there's stuff that the Classic community always figures out.
So we're going to have the same thing that happened in Wrath as well, but obviously with Wrath it was slightly different because every private server played on 3.4.3, whereas in Cataclysm, a lot of this Elitist Jerks information was based on different patches because they would have been on the actual correct content patch.
Yeah.
So we're going to be on end game Dragon Soul balancing going into, the first hero raiding, which, yeah, I do think that there is going to be things that we're going to have to learn and figure out, but that's cool. That's fun. I also do think that Cata is not something that most guilds are going to go through on night one and just clear all the content of a new tier.
I disagree. I actually think everything will be cleared night one. I think everything will be...
the difficulty they set it at too, right?
No, yeah. I'm not saying that it won't be cleared by guilds. I'm just saying that, the majority of guilds... How many guilds didn't clear Nax night one?
If you compare it... if you're comparing it to that, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you went in and you didn't clear Nax night one, then obviously you was already a casual social type guild, which there's obviously nothing wrong with. But yeah, you're going to get the top guilds going, and I'd say, Sinestra's going to die night one if Heroic is open straight away.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the majority, you're probably looking at maybe 3 or 4 Heroic bosses in the first week. I'd say that's probably a good number. Because they are a massive step up. Like, there's no doubt about it. When we was playing on White Main, just as an example, with 10 reasonably good players, there was no one really being carried, and the bosses were hard. No doubt about it, they were hard, and they're I don't know if they're tuned up on White Main or they're just pre-nerf, but do you know, Jay? I don't know which way around it is.
They were pre-nerf, and we had the
dampening type thing, wasn't it, as well?
Actually, that is true. The heroic bosses had the increased difficulty. So on White Main, it was slightly more difficult on heroic.
Yeah,
I think one thing that's different that is on Cata, which people will find out, is there's more mechanics on the bosses, and that's one thing I feel like in the classic community. Like, look at ICC when ICC came out. Look how many people were dying on Death Wish for the ghosts or Lich King, all the Lich King mechanics. People kept comparing a Lich King to a retail fight because it was that hard to some people. You know what I mean? Like Blood Queen, even something as simple as that, or like the council fight. There's so many things that people, the classic community, were just atrocious at for a while, and that's kind of how Cata raids are. Like if you go into Firelands, look how many bosses have so many mechanics that people aren't going to be used to. It's going to take some time. So it's like less of the difficulty of how hard everything hits and how hard it is to kill things in heroic. I think it's just people figuring out mechanics. Look, remember Magdaradon cubes? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Cata's just 20 times worse than that, you know?
One thing I do like about Cata raiding, and it's not true for every boss, but for most bosses, is that if you just do the mechanics, you'll eventually kill the boss.
Yep.
So there's very few bosses that have hard enrage timers. Like I'll use Ragnaros as a perfect example. Ragnaros doesn't have a burn phase until the last phase. So everything up to that, if you just do the mechanics, you'll get through. So good, consistent guilds are going to be better than, guilds that just stack 10 DKs and expect to clear everything. Or whatever the class is at the time. But just class stacking and nuking things down isn't necessarily going to work for everyone week one.
Yeah, and trying to pass will be interesting as well because where in Wrath, the majority of bosses, even in ICC, if I'm like, right, I want to pass on this boss, I ignore all mechanics and just nuke, and I just know whatever, let's say Sarfang, I won't switch to ads. I'm expected to, but I won't. Everyone else can kill him. Rotface, I'm not going to run out if I got a slime on me. You just pump, and it's like no. The rest of the raid will pick up the slack. It's fine. And I know that's not you shouldn't raid like that all the time, but I'm talking, just on a certain boss that maybe you want to pass on. You ain't going to be able to do that in Cata. You will stick out like a sore thumb. Mm-hmm. You will literally go, no, I'm passing on this boss, and you'll wipe the raid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be fun. As early as going in on like Armatron Council, when you walk into Blackwing Descent. I mean, if you switch your brain off and start just nuking one target, like you'll literally wipe the raid. Like you've got to just pay attention. I wouldn't say mechanically there's not that many bosses that I think are like super challenging. Some of them, like, there feels like there's a lot more going on than there is. But
Rylith, that's gonna be fun to see on Classic.
Oh, I mean, Rylith's just that is an absolute great fight if it works properly. I mean,
it's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yes.
But
I think also it depends on largely, sadly, I have to say this, but what Warcraft logs allows when it comes to parsing for people who are parse brain, like what are they demanding for the parsers, what can you do? Because a lot of the times you'll have like ads need to die on some fights, but they don't count for your parse. So a lot of people just ignore those ads and then they end up wiping because the ads didn't go off. So I think it depends a lot on what happens with some of these bosses.
I kind of like that, right? People figuring out ways to cheese things so that you don't have to do that. So yeah, there's an element that people are eventually going to break it and just nuke through it. But I think progression, you're going to see a lot less people just doing zigzag tactics.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Yeah.
So one thing then in terms of raiding, and I'm really interested to hear you guys' opinion, is where do you both stand on GDQPs being in Cata?
I love them.
GDQPs don't bug me. Yeah, I don't do them in SOD because it feels really cringe almost to do SOD 10-man GDQPs. I don't really care about that. Let me go do a whole 10-man and make 3 gold. But like I did a lot of GDQPs in Lich King because I have a lot of alts and it's just like it's an easy way for you to be able to go do your raid. So I don't mind it. I definitely think it's going to be a thing in Cata for sure. Obviously in SOD it's not. You can't do it. I can't see them banning it in Cata. I think that if they ban GDQPs in Cataclysm, the lower player count that's already going to be there for people that don't want to play Cata is going to be evaporating. Imagine they ban GDQPs in Lich King, you're screwed. Your people will be unsubbing immediately.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I was being sarcastic when I said I love him, by the way. That's why I laughed when I said I love him. I'm very indifferent on them. It don't matter to me whether they exist or not. But if they do exist, I'm not paying for the game. As in, I will just go and do 1 GDKP every few months, and that pays for my game time. So I abuse the fact that they are there. But if they weren't there, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm quitting Wrath because I don't actually do them I do them for the sole purpose of paying for game time. So I look and I'm like, oh, I've only got a few months game time left. I'll go and do a GDKP to top it up. That's literally what I use them for. But I agree, they should not be banned because it would be really bad for Cata. It would be really bad for the rest of RAF if they was to ban them on RAF, because there's probably more GDKP raids than guild raids on a weekly basis.
Easily, I think there's more. There's people who like, and I know from being in like one of the servers when I have like 6 characters and I have my main guild raid, and then there's people who all their alts, their raids, their mains are just in a big GDKP server, and they have set service every time with gold, and they're excited for it, and that's how they can parse or speed run if they want to in these guild while making gold. It's like a GDKP guild pretty much is what it is, but instead of guild raids, they're just doing the GDKPs with the same people every time,
Yeah.
And whether you hate them or love them, it's in the game, and I think that it would be stupid of them to remove GDKPs because people would literally not play the game. GDKPs are keeping people to playing the game, like overwhelmingly playing them in Lich King at least.
Cool. All right. So on then.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I am looking forward to seeing GDKPs wipe to bosses. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's going to be beautiful. Some of my fun parts of GDKPs is like my main is in a guild that's decent, right? And we have no problem. And then I go to my alts on GDKPs and they're like, way, like ICC as an example, they're way behind, taking a couple months to kill Heroic Lich King, and like, which I'm not knocking anybody who's doing that, but it's just funny because they're like saving all their gold because they want this I want the phylactery or whatever it is, and yet they're stuck on Sendragosa or whatever boss drops it forever trying to kill it. You know what I mean?
It's still quite impressive at the same time, when you look at some of these GDKPs, especially like on our server where, they go and do a really time efficient, like 12/12 heroic ICC, maybe they do it in an hour and a half or something like that. And you're like, Jesus, like that's incredible, to say that is technically a pug. But then at the same time, we know, it's really, the same 22, 23 people go in every week, and there might be a couple that, that change on a weekly basis. But I as I say, I really like the system. And when they say about, RMT, which, we know that it promotes RMT, but I think at this moment in time in Wrath of the Lich King, it's just like the economy is out of control. There's already ridiculous amounts of gold in existence. Like, there's no point trying to do anything about it now.
They can't do anything about it. I think they should just be like, hey guys, there's nothing we can do about it. Keep playing the game, and because we already know they can't do anything about it. Just don't even act like you can do anything about it. Like, just it's there. You know what I mean?
I do genuinely think for me that if they made it WoW tokens be competitive, people would rather buy a WoW token, but for a little bit more money, but no risk of bans than RMT. But because they are so inefficient, it's just, why would you ever?
Well, not even just that, but also a WoW token for $20 gets you 4K, but that $20 gets you 50K or whatever it is if you go to G2G or something.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. And someone in the homie in chat saying that no one makes them. You can join a casual guild if you don't want a GDP. But the thing about having a normal guild is you have normal guild times that you have to raid. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I have to be at this spot doing this. But what if something comes up Tuesday and Thursday, and then you can't go to raid, and you have to call out, and maybe you lose loot prio or whatever the reason is. Versus if you're on a GDP server, like Discord server, you just, there's a ping, someone needs a warlock or someone needs a priest. I can fit this time. This is nice. Or you can the GDP allows you to get a raid in whenever you have time. Especially, I'm a dad. I'm a gamer dad. Like, if for some reason I can't raid tomorrow for my raid, I miss my raid lockout. That's why now I have to pug it and struggle, or I can just go to a GDKP whenever I have time to do that GDKP.
Yeah, and that's what they're great for. Yeah. Okay, so that's why people should be excited for Cata. So why do you think there's so much negativity around Cata? Why do people go, oh my god, like, lol, why are you playing Cata? These people that are already playing Wrath of the Lich King or Season of Discovery, like, what's your views? What do you think the most common problems are? The main reason
I hear people saying, one of the main reasons is, I get a lot when I ask, is the Dragon Soul, how long Dragon Soul was, which I think is a ludicrous answer because that's the end of the game. And look how long ICC is going, for example. I don't know if that's one of the reasons. I mean, obviously the revamped world is the reason people, which I combat with, you don't level in the world. You're lying if you're telling me that you have 8 alts and you're going to sit there and level them 1 to 60 or whatever. Or 1 to 80 or whatever it is, right? Like, you're not going to dungeon finder your way up or have heirlooms, which a lot of us already have in Lich King anyway. The talent revamp system is another one, which I think, like you said earlier, that alluded to MOP. The talent system doesn't change. It changes. Like you have your specs. Like you can go AF, Demo, or Affliction, and you get or AF, Demo, Destro, and you get a certain passive each one and a different spell. I mean, one thing people complain is you can't really hybrid that much. You have to have 31 points into one talent before you one full tree before you put a point into another one. Which I guess that's kind of a valid, but I haven't really found a valid reason why people don't like it. LFR, I guess. I haven't really found a super valid reason, to me at least, but maybe I'm just different about how I feel about it.
For me, and I've done quite a bit of research into this, and so Cata was a massive sub drop off originally for WoW. Also, like people thought it was Cata, but if you actually look at it, it was the ICC drought that led to a lot of players dropping off. Cata then had a massive spike, but came in with massively hard heroics and things like that. It was a completely different game to Wrath at the time, and people left again. They had other options. Mm-hmm. I think now we've got, you know, it's not going to be as difficult at all. And I actually agree with the Dragon Soul thing. I stopped playing during Dragon Soul because it was so long. It was boring. But by that logic, it's exactly the reason I stopped playing ICC, is because, you know, it's been out so long that I don't want to do it anymore. But that's something they've already talked about, a shorter Cata expansion. So, you know, that's one of the things that hopefully we can see a little bit faster paced content, and hopefully get around a couple of those issues. But I genuinely think at this point, the biggest reason that people are negative towards Cata is because it's cool to be negative towards Cata, right? It is that it's better to have those opinions, because any other opinion, you just get shot down.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's just popular. I think it's just like the cool thing to hate on Cata. Like Nickelback, I said, like it's just one of those things where a Nickelback song plays and everybody hates on it. Like why? I don't know. I don't really listen to Nickelback that much, but it's the same thing with Cata. It's just like it's cool to hate on it. I think I'll stand on the hill where it's like people were growing up when Cata came out, graduating their college, maybe their careers were taking off, they had kids, they got married, and they just naturally couldn't play games. And they're like, you know what, I had a good run with, you know, vanilla TBC and Lich King, and now I'm done. And then I don't know. That's what they just die on. Instead of just being like, yo, I grew up and stopped playing games, they're just like, I despised it.
And when you
no clue.
when you talk about numbers, so what Jay said was right. Actually, the highest peak Blizzard hit was Cataclysm, the first few months of Cataclysm, and actually, like when people go, oh, it was the death of WoW, and that was when it started going downhill. It was like half of Cataclysm had as many subscribers as Wrath did, and more than TBC did. It was like the big drop off. Really was the end. It was Dragon Soul, and that's for two reasons. Like when people say, "Oh, it's because Dragon Soul lasted too long," that's only a part of it. Yes, it did, but it was also a very short, very last raid of an expansion. Like if Dragon Soul was, that weren't the last raid. There was one more raid after it, and it was a nice big raid like ICC or something like that. Then I think it would have been a completely different story. But you had like the last boss of Cataclysm being Deathwing, which was just an awfully designed fight, like not fun to do whatsoever, not rewarding whatsoever to kill. It's a terrible raid. Dragon Soul really is a terrible raid, and all Blizzard needs to do is just make sure we're not in there very long. That's it.
Well, the thing is that we missed an entire patch.
Yeah.
In original Cataclysm.
Yeah.
So we were supposed to have the 4 elemental raids. So you had BRD, which was going to be Earth, Throne of Four Winds for fire, for air, obviously Firelands for fire. We were supposed to then have a Vashir raid. I believe it was going to be the Abyssal Maw, which was going to be water. So we were going to have a whole other raid that we were supposed to go to that would have broken up that time period, and it just never happened. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to argue and defend that it wasn't a finished product. It wasn't. And I think Cataclysm would have gone down as probably the greatest expansion had we have had that extra raid. But generally, I think that if we sit in Dragon Soul for another 20 weeks, it's going to go back. Like people are going to leave again, like totally. But if they stick to the idea of it being a fast-paced expansion, I don't see a reason for people not to play it.
Which is crazy because ICC is going on for how long?
Yeah, it's
I know
20,
Ruby
20,
hyped him, but
20
that's
odd
fucking
weeks
Ruby
so
tank.
far. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
ICC it's already outstayed its welcome, in my opinion. And the fact that we're going to probably do it for another, I don't know, 13 resets or something still, it's going to be like the
It's
longest
just silly to me that
raiding
people
classic.
hate on an entire expansion for the end of the expansion. Just stop playing the expansion at that point and wait for the next one, like I'm doing right now with Lich King.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
The thing
Another
that
complaint
gets
I
me
hear
is
a lot of people get is in between, like that ZA, ZF, or ZG, ZA phase. People hated that. But like,
Which
they're already,
annoys me
I remember
because
asking
they
in the
were
interview, they're
great.
already going to summon it down and make it so it's not a whole phase of just doing the 5-mans, you know?
Yeah, see, I would have it as a like I've thought about this a lot, and yeah, like obviously in that phase, that is literally all you get. You know, it's a catch-up phase, but it's meant to like bridge the gap between, you know, the tier 11 and tier 12. You know, that's the whole point of it really is. So like, if you joined late, you've now got an easy way to get some 353 pieces to, you know, then go into Firelands with. So I mean, I would have it. I would actually have it as a standalone phase still. And that would be the phase where I put in, like, let's say there's no Joyous Journeys. I would have phase 1 is just everything's normal. And phase 2, I would have as, I don't know, 4 weeks? 4 weeks-ish, 6 weeks. Not long at all. Really short phase. But that's when Joyous Journeys comes in. That's when, you know, I don't know, whatever they want to do where it just helps people get to max level quicker. You know, so it could almost be classed as the catch-up phase getting you ready for Firelands. Because, like, I think a lot of people would be hyped for Firelands, more so than the first phase. I mean, just being able to go do Ragnaros again, Firelands is an epic raid. I would do something like that. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think they're actually just going to put Zul'Gurub and Zolaman in with Firelands, which the reason I don't like that is because there's a lot of content with Firelands with a Molten Front and dailies and all of that, you know.
They made it seem like it was going to be a mid-patch. Like,
yeah, I was going to say,
show up.
I feel like they have to add it mid tier 11, which is kind of what they did anyway, but it has to come in early and then not stay for so long that it feels like it's the only content.
Yeah. Like, you can't do a 2 or 3 month phase with just introducing ZA and ZG as a 5-man. Like you do your first phase and then a month later drop ZA, ZG, or like let it be out for like a month, a few lockouts, and then go into Firelands, you know?
Yeah, it'd be like a point 5 type phase, rather than a phase.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't mind seeing Molten Front come in like a couple of weeks before Firelands.
Yeah.
Which it obviously didn't originally. Originally, it came out at the same time. But you then had people sitting in Firelands for, 12 hours doing rep grinds. So you're talking about using the content. Like, you have a whole load of content, story, and everything else there that is supposed to prepare us to go into Firelands, and we never actually do it because we're too busy sat in Firelands.
Yeah. Having it as almost like a pre-event to Firelands coming. Yeah, I think that would be quite cool. Or maybe that was the same time as Zul'Gurub and Zolaman. You know, the 0.5 phase brought the Molten Front and Zul'Gurub and Zolaman and Joyous Journeys. So it really is like a, come on, let's get ready for Firelands type phase. Yeah, for like 4 weeks or something. No, it's interesting.
You know what I'm excited for almost more than anything? Rated Battlegrounds.
I know Jay is.
Person.
Oh, well, I thought you would have been well excited for that, Jay.
Rated Battlegrounds.
Wanna be. They have to make some changes. They have to make some changes for Rated Battlegrounds to be fun for me. I pushed Rated Battlegrounds. I was 2.4k in Cata, and it was the worst experience because every single person had, by the time I pushed, every single person had a legendary staff. Every rogue had daggers. Everyone had Dragon Soul trinkets. Again, I pushed at the end of the expansion, obviously, but
that one's on you, right? Because you waited so long to push, right?
Well, I waited until it was free.
Oh, true.
But as it is right now, there's like no reason that anyone would push until Dragon Soul comes out because it's just so much easier to push.
I think people are gonna push out the gate because people already do a bunch of BGs without needing a reason to. Now they're rated like it's something. And you get a title for it. There's achievements for it.
If they made it solo queuable, I would do it all day long. I genuinely think so. 2 changes I'd like to see with it: make it solo queuable, but you have to have like certain amount of PvP gear or something, some restrictions. So you can't just queue in for like with no gear at all. You still have to do that grind for the gear, and don't allow legendaries in there.
I think they're definitely going to do something with the pre-made situation. Granted, like I'm one of the guys who will be doing pre-mades, but like they have to make it so people who don't want to sit there and go to Discords and look for pre-mades can enjoy it, can play it.
Yeah,
that would help the community out more for the people who don't do pre-mades. You know, I don't know how they could do that, like restricting no legendaries. I don't know how they're going to do all that, but doing something like that would help a lot.
That is something that almost every Cata private server does, is they don't allow legendaries in arenas or RBGs, and it makes for a much better balanced experience.
So the thing is with pre-mades and that, though, just on that, is like every guild should have an RBG team, because it's guild XP every week and gold in the guild bank every week. You know, it's like we'll be doing it as a guild. Yeah, not necessarily pushing for actual rating and trying to get all the achievements or whatever, but you know, we'll be doing it every week just for the guild XP at a bare minimum. So I feel like there should be a lot of activity. You know, like a hell of a lot of people doing it.
As an additional source of content, just, you know, log in with the boys, have a beer and do a RPG, that will be great. And I thoroughly look forward to it. In terms of it actually being a serious point of farmable content, I think there's things they can do to make it better. But like arenas, again, I've said it recently that I hope Blizzard have a little bit more of an eye on PvP for Cataclysm in terms of balance, or certainly bug fixes at least, but balance would be nice as well. Because Cataclysm was one of the worst balanced PvP expansions. Like MOP is the worst, with Cataclysm then being slightly behind it, just because the addition of the legendaries changed the meta so badly that like some things were just unplayable at the time.
So if you was to think about phase 2 again, I just want to go back there just for a sec. And if it was like quite a catch-up phase, and on the basis we don't actually have that much content in terms of raids, when you really think about, you know, after the first phase is out of the way, you've got 2 pretty small raids to look forward to. Even though they're good raid, yeah, well, Firelands is good, but, you know, it's still only like 7 bosses. You know, there's still 2 quite small raids. So what about I'm adding like a time walking raid for phase 2? Specifically Karazhan, I'll put it out there. That's what I would want, and I think it would be one of the easier ones for him to do.
Anything that brings Karazhan back, I love Karazhan.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so do I, yeah. Something that adds, you know, like I mentioned it, like the time walking or fated raid, something like that. They've done it with other content. Like you could have something like come in 0.5 of phase 2. So, you know, you've got Morton Front and Firelands Prague and all that sort of stuff. And then something comes in as kind of catch-up gear for phase 2. And you could even do the same thing with Dragon Soul. Have something come in kind of 0.5 Dragon Soul, so that we've got a little bit more content.
But I think so. This is where I think they need to be doing that stuff. Like this is the time for them to actually, you know, like not sit and look at Classic as being just a re-release. You know, they need to look at it as like, how can we add value to it this time around? Where were the flaws? Where can we put content in? You know, they're doing it for Season Discovery. So, you know, there's no way that, you know, just tuning Karazhan up to level 85 would be out of their wheelhouse. You know, they should be looking at doing these things and really being like, look, guys, yeah, you claim you didn't like Cataclysm the first time round. Let's see how much you like it now. Now, there's a hell of a lot more to actually do. You know, you've got some of those nostalgic raids to go back and get gear from. I think it'd be epic.
Have they talked anything about Titan Rune dungeons yet?
Yeah, there's going to be some form of Heroic Plus. Which
I feel like there's so much they can do with it, but it hasn't really been explored yet.
Yeah, I mean I'd be happy with him
throwing the tides. I know
that. Well, that's the thing. If we've got pre-nerf heroics, and then you can make him even more difficult. I mean, that'd be interesting 5-man content.
As long as there's a reason to do them, and even if that reason is just an achievement, a title, cosmetic, whatever. I love the idea of kind of the Final Fantasy extreme modes, where there's like no reason to do it other than ego. Like, just I get to flex on people. Like, absolutely, I would do all of the content for that reason.
Yeah, a mount. Yeah, like once you've done all of them, or Like, I mean, that's why I absolutely love challenge modes, and it's just been mentioned in chat as well. Like, challenge modes will always remain one of my favorite pieces of content that was ever put in WoW. Just because, you weren't getting loot from it. I love the fact that everyone was in exactly the same boat, and it even gave reason to go and do heroics, because like there would be BIS items in heroics. Even though you'd think you'd go and get all raid gear, that's not the case. There would be BIS items that came from 5-man heroics that are better than 25-man raid gear. It was insane, and then actually just getting it down and eventually being so good at it, you can like take someone else through. One of your mates joins the server. It's like, right, let's get him. Get him his mount and transmog. Like, mate, if they put challenge modes in instead of actually being Titan Rune dungeons, I would be ecstatic.
I mean, all I'm saying is you might as well add Mythic Plus to Cata. I'll say it. Icy take, but I mean,
so
you're halfway there.
Yeah,
I love the idea of Mythic Plus. Like, I am a Mythic Plus player on retail. I love that content. I don't think it would be well received in Cata personally,
but I think people would do it. If they do in Gamma, I mean, you're kind of already there,
It's adding a timer, absolutely,
yeah.
and I've said this, as well. Like
imagine getting a buffed up C star or something. You know what I mean? To something just like huge that you're getting.
Yeah, definitely, and it's replayable content, and people would make it competitive as well.
Yeah, something. I mean, or you're already there for the Gammas. I think obviously the thing is, there's going to be people complaining no matter what anyway. Whether they leave the game the same, there's no changes, or they add this, or they do this. There's always going to doomers that complain about the game.
Yeah.
So I think they look at the majority of the people who actually care about Cata like we do. We actually want to play it. We've been playing it. We're trying to spread the good word about it. We're trying to get people to play it, which is making Blizzard money. Like, listen to the community on what they want. You know what I mean? Don't do the feels craft shit.
When it comes to Mythic Plus, like I would like Mythic Plus, and I would like to push high keys in MOP, even not even just Cata. I think the one thing that would potentially not put me off, but where I'd be like, the implementation would need to be right. Like, the gear that comes from it shouldn't be a legitimate path of gearing up for raids. Like Mythic Plus, I would want it almost like challenge modes. But yeah, you can push high keys and go as high as you want, but your gear, it don't drop items, and your gear is literally the same. So let's say 353. Your gear, everybody scales down to 353, and then you can push as high as you want. And you don't like it. I think it's mega important that it's not like a substitute for raiding. Where you can just push keys and get gear.
Should always drop the best loot.
Yeah,
like a rating should always drop the best loot, in my opinion. But it'd be a good way to I mean, that's a whole other topic of trying to figure out how they could even do the loot for Mythic Plus and a vault or whatever, or what drops at the end and the timings and stuff, or even fixes. But I mean, it just sounds like it'd be kind of fun. Like, explore a little bit about it. They're free to explore with SOD, but it's like, how much do they want to go off track with Cata versus original Cata?
So I suppose that leads to an interesting point. Then is there a way Blizzard wins right now? Because, like you said, Crix, whatever happens, there's going to be so many people complaining at them, and so many people having their own opinions of what should and shouldn't exist in the game. And this is why I was kind of disappointed with the survey they sent out, because they sent a survey out and went, here's all this cool stuff that we, would you like to see it in the game? And then we've got to this point, it's like, we haven't heard about any of that. So are we getting it? Are we not? Does it exist? Because we don't know what to expect at the moment. We've kind of been given mixed messages, really.
Yeah, I think this is the season when we start figuring things out. I think this is the first step, is just giving us beta, and they go from there. I think now it's Cata season. Obviously, there's SOD out. I love SOD. We're all playing SOD. I'm not quitting SOD or nothing like that, but I think now it's just time they're starting to flirt with Cata a little bit. And the basic step of Cata is the build that we're in right now, which is, guys, go test 1 to 60 and let us know how shit it is or how good it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which overall I think it's doing fine. Obviously there's bugs, but I'm surprised at how good it's doing and how fun it is. And I think next they're going to worry about, I don't know, the dungeons, with raid testing down the road, but we're still ways off from Cata. I don't know what you guys were going to ask, what you guys think for a release time for Cata, besides just the summer. But I mean,
and end of May,
they got a little whiles to work on,
I would say end of May pre-patch, because they can drag the pre-patch out for a good 6 to 8 weeks if they want to. And then from there, it would be probably July release, I would say.
Yep.
First week of July. Yeah.
That would be my guess.
August, yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly that. How I look at it, and when people who, the people who are saying how bad Cata's going to be, and they're currently playing Season of Discovery, there's no way, at some point in time, they'll be bored of Season of Discovery because they're raid login or they're full bis and there's nothing going on, and they'll just log on Cata and level a character and be like, oh, I'll have a look. It's like, even if you don't think right now you're going to play Cataclysm, at some point, I've been on retail recently, and I know I don't play retail like you two, but I've been bored enough to install it and just go on and do a bit of leveling and see what's going on, and you know what I mean? It's like, because it's there, it's literally free. I could go and buy another game, or I can play a game I know I already like, but just a different version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that regularly. I've been on Classic Era. I was leveling a Paladin not that long ago on Classic Era, just because I hadn't leveled on Classic Era for ages, so I thought, I'll go on there and have a go. But obviously, yeah, I'm very different in the fact that, like, I'm not a vanilla fanboy. I'm not like, I mean, I am a bit of a Wrath fanboy, to be fair, but like, I will play any of them, and I'm open to whatever Blizzard do. Season of Discovery is great, but I just don't feel like there's enough content at the moment. Which, like you just said, Crix, when we get into the level 60 phases, there should be plenty to do, reps to do. Raids are going to be a lot longer than they are now, and like, we don't know what else is going to be added. Just at the moment, for me, I just feel like the options are raid log, which happens very quickly, or level more characters and then raid log on more characters. Like, the options are fairly limited.
Sure. I just feel like, and I'm not a big fan of subscriptions for games. I'd much prefer like you just pay a one-time fee, obviously, but like I feel like you get a good bang for your buck right now. If you like World of Warcraft and the world of World of Warcraft, I guess what I'm trying to say, like you will find something to do if you don't want to hate on it. People hate on retail. You can log in retail. I guarantee you can find something to do. Sod, there's so much stuff to do with the game right now.
If you have an open mind, and I think that's the thing that we need to start. Like, I say we, but like just generally, like the community needs to normalize. Like, you could play nothing else but WoW for this entire year, and you wouldn't run out of things to do because you could jump into, you go and clear Wrath. Well, that's great. You can then go and do something else in another game. And I think if that's the case, like, I'm kind of backflipping a little bit here and going slightly different to my opinion earlier, but actually, if you look at things like Cata, you have a lot of, content already. You mix that in with everything else and look at big picture, actually there's a lot to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't like Cata, the thing is, if you want to try Cata, it's free to try because you're already paying for some other version of the game. And then you just find out if you like it or not. It's a very raid log friendly game again. Very alt friendly, all of WoW is a raid log friendly game. That's the point. It's an MMO. Like, thankfully, even retail, you can raid log. There's no systems you need in retail to do every month. You don't have to log in every day and do something. SOD's the same way. You besides the leveling and whatever you need to farm from STV, you're raid logging. Hardcore, I guess hardcore is different because that's a whole different like game mode. But like every bit of the Lich King, you're raid logging. There's nothing you got to do every single day. So
I find it very fun to just, like I said, occasionally, and I'm not saying like this is weekly, monthly, whatever. It just depends what's going on in SOD, Wrath, soon to be Cata. But I really enjoy, and Jay knows I do it. I'll just log on retail, and it might only be 2 or 3 days. Yeah, that'll be it. It'll be a couple of days. I'll go on retail. I'll do some leveling. Maybe don't even get to max level. I might, I don't know, get to 30, 40 or whatever. But, just for a change of pace, a change of, change of scenery. And it's free. Even just doing some retail dungeons on the way up. I don't know why people feel the need to be so like, SOD is my game.
You have to pay for Dragonflight. Like, there's like a $30 or whatever for that expansion, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to. That's what I mean. Like, yeah. You might not even get to max level. You could just get up to like whatever the Shadowlands max level was or whatever. But you can still go on there and enjoy it for free because you get all the way up to the previous expansion, don't you? If I remember rightly. So when War Within comes out, you'll have everyone will have Dragonflight. Which again, when you think about that is you like, I know you're not going to get to experience Dragonflight how it's intended to be experienced with everybody else at the same time, But everyone's going to have Dragonflight at some point for free. Yeah. I like free. All right, next point.
WoW. It's a beautiful time to play WoW.
Me too.
It's a good time. I love it, man.
So first we'll do a first phase of content overview, and then we'll call it a day. So, Jay, do you wanna take us away? Like, what have we got in phase 1 to look forward to?
Well, I believe I'm going to go off on a limb and say it's 8 heroics, but that's probably wrong. And 3 raids. 4 raids? 4 raids. One of them being like a Vault of Archivon type raid, which, for the amount of content that is just insane. And it's genuinely one of the best raid tiers that has existed in WoW. Like all the way through retail and things like that as well. It's a very, very cool raid tier. So phase 1 is going to be amazing. The pre-raid kind of grind, getting your reputations farmed, which isn't like a massive grind anymore. It's something that's quite easily accessible. Genuinely, like phase 1 Cata is going to be amazing. That's probably the bit that I'm like super excited for. I plan on just doing nothing else but Cata for like a good 2-3 months.
Correct.
I think the rating in phase 1 is going to be a lot of fun. Blackwing and Bastion are going to be. I don't care about them that much, but
I hate that
fun. You got a lot of time for heroics. We're going to be all no life in it. You have the raids. I think the PvP is great. I'm worried about the gap in between 1 and 2, phase 1 and 2, but hopefully it's not too long.
I mean, even the new battlegrounds, like Battle for Gilneas, is actually probably one of my favorite battlegrounds. Be that a popular or unpopular opinion, I think it's a great one. And Tol Barrett.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, I was about to say the same. Go ahead. I was going to say the same shit. Yeah.
Like, that's not. I think it's better than Wintergrasp.
I despise it.
I hate the meta for Tol Barrett.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be cancer.
If guilds, or if depending on server population, if people do the efficient way, which let's face it, that's
what's going to happen
now, then you're going to swap to Tol Barrett. You're literally gonna faction swap it.
Yeah, you're just win trade
2.5 hours. Yeah, which isn't fun for anyone. But it's the efficient option, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. It's kind of, I won't say forced, but I reckon a lot of tanks are probably going to want to get their rep as well, aren't they? Well, I don't think the trinket's a bis for anyone outside of tanks, but yeah, I know the tank trinket's very, very strong.
Wasn't it like an enchant you get from it? That's why you do it or some shit?
No.
There's the trinket, which...
Oh, yeah, that's the trinket.
For anyone but tank, yeah, I think Scott's right. Anyone but tank, it isn't bis, but it's a good option. Tanks have to have it, basically. For me, who's like an avid PvPer, especially prefer world PvP, I actually get more enjoyment out of the dailies for Tol Barrett than I do the actual Tol Barrett event. Because running around and just world PvPing, doing your dailies, is hilarious. And the amount of fun I've had on different servers doing that is great. And I will do exactly the same thing again in the next in Cata Classic.
You're talking specifically to the Tol Barrett daily, isn't you? Like in the Tol Barrett zone.
Ganking people.
Yeah. See, that's more what I was. But when I said I love Tol Barrett, I was more talking about the zone than the event, actually.
Yeah,
because
I agree with that.
Yeah, the event I haven't done that much recently. Obviously, yeah, a lot probably, not that I can remember during original Cata. But the dailies, yeah, I used to do the dailies quite regularly. And yeah, like you say, just fun sort of a fun place to go and do open world PvP. And I would imagine, how does that work on a PvE server? Will it be like if you're in the zone, you will be PvP flagged?
Maybe phases you in.
Like, I'm kind of hoping that's the case.
I don't think the daily area is PvP flagged.
They should think about changing that. That would, like, for PvE servers, it would make it more interesting. Although the PvE servers, let's face it, like most servers are bloody just all one-sided anyway, and you won't see anyone, so.
That's why you make the opposite faction, so you can gank everyone. It's great.
Yeah.
But, I mean, someone's mentioned archaeology, which I'm looking forward to doing once and then never touching it again.
Same. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it the first time. But yeah, literally just the first time.
I've just about recovered from the 15 years ago that I did it last time.
It's just you just it's not really going to be something, you know, where you're going to want to stream it and, you know, find it fun. Like, it's you put Netflix on and you just switch your brain off and get it done. You know, that's the sort of
100%.
content it is, because it's very, very, very boring, but very chill if you just want something to like do in the background while you're watching something. What else have we got? So yeah, heroics raid. So we got the battlegrounds, Tol Barad.
Archaeology.
How fast do you think 85 is going to be done? That's what I want to know. 2.5 hours.
Well, I mean, there'll be you know, during the beta, obviously different, like, completely cheesy ways of doing it are going to be found.
Yeah.
But if you're just running around questing and then doing the occasional dungeon, I think like 15-ish hours is pretty good. 3 hours a level. I think for most people it will be closer or above 4 hours a level, actually. But you know, if I was just questing and I could do 3 hours a level, I'd be happy with that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Find out on the beta here soon.
If you are interested in PvP, again, I would argue that Phase 1 RBGs and Phase 1 Arenas is amazing and probably the most balanced PvP will be in Cataclysm.
There's no broken items yet.
Well,
Legendaries.
no broken items, no overtuned trinkets, no overtuned kind of, crazy things. There are some classes and specs that are just completely unviable, but you know, for the majority of things, every class has something that they could play in PvP. So if it's something that people are interested in, you're rewarded for it. The gear is actually decent for stepping into raids with, because you know, main stat becomes so high priority, like agility, intellect, strength becomes so high priority that, you know, having higher eye level pieces isn't a bad idea. But yeah, so it's definitely worth doing. You get guild XP as well. So I'm sure that most guilds will have some group of 10 people go in and try and win an RBG every week. There's something we haven't really talked about.
For RBGs, man.
I'm hoping that I know they've already talked about guild rewards and how, or certainly guild perks and how that things might change with that. I am looking forward to seeing what comes of that, because I think it's a really cool idea. I just think it was executed really badly.
Yeah, like I like guild achievements and guild perks, and yeah, I like
mass res, right?
Yeah, mass res, mass summon. Like, you know, some of them, all right, may need addressing. Some of the rewards, but you know, there's a lot, that they could do with the guild system if they wanted to get
I was
creative.
arguing with someone for Cata, and he was so mad about it. He's like, "It's so corny. You get mass res," and I was like, "Are you really mad that you don't have to singly res people? Like what?" Like you're getting that mad, you're just getting mad, you're hating game because you have to actually singly mass res people instead of everybody after a wipe.
Is this the hill you really want to die on, right? Like,
yeah, like out of all things to complain about, you're going to complain about that. It's like the people who complained about Soulwell being in the game, on SOD.
People complained about that.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, not Warlocks. Trust me, we didn't complain about that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
People were like, "Yeah, Warlocks should have to spend one shard every time to fuck out of here."
I didn't know Soulwell was in the game in SOD.
Do you mean summon? Yeah, is Soulwell?
I meant the closet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm not gonna lie. I've just had a complete aneurysm trying to go. Why have I not got a Soulwell?
My bad.
Cookies out of raid.
Yeah. I think Soulwell's gonna come as well, but you know.
Oh yeah, hopefully.
I meant to say closet.
Yeah. But no, I mean some of those things, you know, like yeah, like you say, is that really what you're going to complain about? Mass res, the mass summon, I think needs changing. At the moment, you know, it can be used near an instance portal or in the outside world. You know, they're the stipulations. So basically, you can't do it inside a raid. But I actually don't think you should be able to do it anywhere other than outside an instance portal. You know, there's still ways to get around that. But you know, I like being able to mass summon everyone into Stormwind for example, to do the world, not world bosses, the faction leaders. There's a lot of ways that it's really sort of abused and removes fun. So like I would actually have it so it can only work outside a raid portal, not even an instance portal. Because that's what it's for, isn't it? That's really what it's for. It's for raiders.
You have summon stones, right? Like actually outside dungeons. So there's just no need for mass summon to exist in anything but raids.
Yeah, that's the only one I don't like. And I don't even really care about cash flow, to be honest with you. It's like,
I had a great time spending all the money I got in the guild in Cata on with cash flow.
Oh, I bet you did.
I'm excited to see what they take out of the game, if they take things out like how Warlock's mastery swap, or like pet twisting. I want to see what they leave and take out.
I think pet twisting will exist. I hope mastery swapping doesn't.
I agree. I think the only thing I'm worried about pet twisting is if they make it so your demon soul buff doesn't stay when you swap pets. I could see that triggering off for some reason. I hope not, because you would shatter warlocks, but I definitely think mastery swaps won't be in for some reason.
Well, I mean, it's probably not the topic for this kind of special.
Say that for next time.
Dark Intent needs talking about as well.
Yeah, I've seen people complain about Dark Intent, but I mean, I compare Dark Intent to like Focus Magic.
Why are they complaining about it?
I'm not complaining. I'm going to be a warlock. I'm going to sell that. I'm going to make so much money. I'm
just going to run to I'm going to run into the nearest Shadow Priest, Resto Druid, Survival Hunter, and call it a day.
Yeah,
one of those.
It's definitely going on whoever gives me the most damage.
Yeah,
I have seen a lot of people complaining about it and saying like, it shouldn't be in the game. Only, it's a buff that only like 2 people get any benefit from, and my comeback is always the same. It's like, so should we remove Focus Magic? Like, it's only the mage and I mean even PI, these things. Yeah, unfortunately, like if you want all of your casters that can benefit from it to benefit from it, you're gonna need to take more warlocks. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else in phase 1? I think that's about it. I don't think
that was a good video. Good video.
Cool. All right. Well, do you want to say your goodbyes, Jay? Where people can find you if you didn't mention it at the start?
Yeah. So on YouTube at Mijae, but I'm away at the moment, so I'm not able to record particularly much. But I'm trying to. One day I'll find a Blizzard employee and get some beta, and then hopefully some Cata videos coming.
Hell yeah.
Cool. And Crix, other than just the obvious.
Find me everywhere. Crix Vibes everywhere. Yeah, I'm streaming beta right now. I'll be no life in the beta. I specialize in Warlock videos, but I'm going to be stepping out of my comfort zone for Cata and making a bunch of other stuff. So I'd like to do another one of these soon. We can do a few of these. This would be kind of fun. Like during beta, to hype up Cata. I think we can help hype Cata up a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm down. Just whenever, man. Just shout whenever you got time, and I'm sure Jay will jump on anytime, and we can. Yeah, I'm always down to talk about Cata.
Yeah, definitely. It's been fun.